Music TV backstage at Radio 1 in Glasgow's big weekend. I'm with Zane Lowe. How are you?
Hey Carly, how's it going?
Very, very good. Now look, you're normally a guy who's interviewing people. I want to have a bit of a chat with you today about where music first began. We do something called Back to My Roots, and I want to know where it first started for you.
You know, I mean, like everyone else, you know, just discovering music through my parents' record collection, and just kind of, I think all kids at a certain age develop an interest in it because of the rhythm and because of like the way it makes you feel, it makes you want to dance, you know. And I think, you know, for me and like many other people, it just stuck. You know, it made a connection with me, and I remember I would get up earlier than my parents as a young child, and I would go downstairs and I would put on like Thin Lizzy records, you know, Live and Dangerous on vinyl, and put headphones on, and my parents would eventually get up and just be like, wow, okay, you're into this music thing, huh? So, I mean, you know, that for me was, you know, and then just sort of graduated through my brother's record collection, and then eventually discovered rap music, and that's when I first really formed my own opinion, you know, my own taste was, you know, Kings of Leon, I mean, sorry, I should say they're on now, was Kings of Rock, Run DMC, and LL Cool J Bad, and, you know, Public Enemy, that stuff.
So hearing a sound and loving music.
Oh, and Beastie Boys, got to shout out the B-Boys at all times, the greatest.
So taking that and then getting yourself into a career in music, how did you make that jump? What was the first step that you took?
Well, I mean, I was making music, you know, I was producing records for my band, Urban Disturbance. We made an album. I was co-rapper in that band and also producer of those records and co-producer, and was working on other albums for people. But it's tough, you know, back then there was no internet to make your music internationally, you know, exposed or anything. So it was difficult, you know. You had to make a living, and I was working in bars and doing, you know, jobs, and eventually I got offered a gig working at a music video channel. Just being a tape op, playing the videos out overnight, and then there was an opening to present a dance music / kind of rap soul show, and I just put my hand up and said, you know, I'll have a crack at that, and that's how it started, you know. Got a TV presenting that way, and cut a long story short, did that for sort of 4 years, bounced over to the UK, and, you know, got a job in a second-hand record store, and then MTV, XFM, MTV2, Radio 1, and I'm here.
So along the way, what was one of the hardest things that you had to learn?
That's a good question. What's the hardest thing you have to learn? I think you have to try and strike a balance between taking, you know, unnecessary criticism with a grain of salt, but accepting constructive criticism as a necessary. You know, you've got to try and let go of the stuff that is just out to hurt, and you've got to really try and absorb the stuff that is there to make your job better, you know, make you better and improve. And I think it was also really important that I learnt. There were some valuable lessons I was taught early on. You know, one was when you're interviewing people, never assume they want to be there. Not because they don't like doing it, you know, don't like you or you're wasting their time, but because most musicians make music because they can't necessarily communicate in a way that others can, and so they communicate through music. So be prepared, and, you know, one of the tricks I used to do and I still do is, like, you know, have some real fan questions at your disposal to just drop early on if it's pre-recorded, that you may not use in the edit because it's very nerdy stuff, but it will bring the artist into your world and make you feel like you know them and they can trust you. Just little things along the way, you know, that I've carried with me all the way through, and they've been very, very useful for me, certainly in terms of trying to make interviews work for everybody, you know.
Did you ever come up against much jealousy or people trying to stop you from getting where you wanted to go? No,
not really. I mean, you know, I've been fortunate, I guess, because I've immersed myself in music that I really like, and I've really never been about kind of being exposed in any way apart from just being around music. I don't crave attention in that way at all. I'm more than happy to be, you know, to talk about what I love to do, but I certainly don't want to put myself before that. I'm not out there to promote myself, and it's probably actually been to the detriment, well, not detriment, I'm really thrilled with the way things have progressed, but it's been a slower journey for that reason, and so if you don't put yourself out there like that, in that way, you know, you don't come into as much flack, I think, as others maybe do. I mean, you do, you know, you get, you know, people talk, you know, you get a bit of hassle and stuff now with things like Twitter and all that sort of stuff, but really primarily most people appreciate that even if they don't like me, they know I'm in it for the right reason. They know I love music, and they may not like the way I present it or the way I talk about it or me as a person from what they can see or hear, but ultimately they know that deep down I'm not doing it for any other reason except I got to be close to music. I have to be.
So how do you strike a balance? Obviously you produce as well. How do you strike a balance between that and the presenting side? Is your heart equally with both?
Oh yeah, I mean, I don't see any distinction between them anymore. You know, I don't look at when I DJ out or when I'm co-writing a song or producing a song or I'm on the radio or I'm doing interviews or whatever. I see it as one big sort of just music appreciation bubble, you know, and if anything, you know, they really, really help each other. I found it certainly going into the studio in the last 2 years has been incredibly helpful for me as a broadcaster, because you know I go into a recording studio during the day and I get involved in this process, and I mean it's crazy to even say I get the opportunity to do this. You know, I get to work with these incredibly talented people, you know, these Sam Smiths and you know Liam Baileys and Future and all these amazing people, and then I go to radio and I am just so connected to music. So when I get to talk about it, I feel already very sort of in that moment. So you know, I've been really lucky. Everyone seems to sort of accept that it all comes from the same place, you know?
So obviously recently you've done some massive interviews and you're starting to kick off it over in America. Did you ever know that would ever happen?
That's been the total surprise. I mean, even more so than the songwriting and the producing and stuff, to be honest. When we started doing that interview, that Jay-Z interview was initially just supposed to be a radio interview, and he was the one that sort of said, well, you know, we want to visualize this, we want to put it on camera. And I you know, I hadn't been on TV for a long time, not since Gonzo, you know, and I'd stopped doing the Glastonbury coverage, and it just wasn't really a thing for me anymore. And then it went on YouTube, and it did what it did, and then Kanye just happened so easily, considering how hard we've been trying to get him for years, you know. And then when it did happen, it was just like so quick, and it went from like, is it a possibility, to him literally just showing up on his own. His crew followed later. He walked in on his own. Hey, what's going on? Sat down, and it was just happening. And then M happened, and that's all in 6 months. You get the 3 points of the hip hop world in 6 months. I mean, we were all totally flabbergasted, you know, and just grateful and thankful and thrilled that it happened that way, you know. And all of them went really well, and yeah, I mean, I'm really happy. Now I'm back on TV, which is totally shocking to me. Because I had totally let it go. I mean, I just gone, you know, I had that, I did that, it was fun, Gonzo, what a way to go out. That was my show, you know, and yeah, just a shock, you know, but cool, if people want to see it. I'm just happy it's interviews, you know. That's where I'm most comfortable. I'm not a great TV presenter, I've never have been, and that's just the God's honest truth, but I'm decent with interviews, I can do that.
So from here, do you have any idea of what is going to be next and where it's going to head?
Yeah, I mean, you know, hopefully the writing and producing will just go strength to strength. I'm having a great time doing that. I'm constantly inspired doing that. So, and that seems to be working. Radio, I'm having the best time at Radio 1. I mean, God, I just feel like such a, you know, I feel it's just hard to say without sounding like, you know, but it is just a great time, and doing these interviews and traveling the world and getting to interview these people and going to LA and talking to Chris Martin and having that experience with him that was so personal and brilliant. I'm just constantly inspired and just very, very grateful. And as corny as that sounds, I really am. Every day I'm just like, wow, you know, thankful that I can be around music and still have a part to play, and be able to connect people with records, and just, yeah, it's, you know, you do it. I mean, it's, right, you get it.
Absolutely get it.
Because I can tell how much you enjoy it, how much you want to be, and you do all sorts of things too. You work with artists, you promote artists, you help them out, you do media, you're across it. So, I mean, it's a good time in that sense. You don't have to choose your lane. You can build your own highway.
I like that. And highways are really good fun, and especially because they're getting wider and faster.
Yeah, it's a pretty fast highway out there right now, man. I mean, look at what's happened to Jake Bugg. I mean, he went from obscurity to playing the main stage at Glastonbury in a year. Like, what? Crazy. So
UK music especially is on fire. What do you think it is about the industry at the moment that's making it so special?
Well, UK music has always been fantastic because it's absolutely changeable at all times. It's a total chameleon vibe out here, and you know, I like that and I like that, and I'm gonna put that together and take a little bit of that and a little bit of that, and boom, you get dubstep, or boom, you know, you get two-step, or boom, you get, you know, whatever. It's a fascinating time, and I think what's really cool at the moment is that you have more music out there than ever before, but the filters are starting to take shape. So people are starting to work out how they filter the music down and work out what they like. And I think for a while there it was difficult because it was just so much music. It's like, I can't take it. Everyone's making music. Like, what's good, what's not? And I think it's the new industry is starting to form, you know. And I just really hope that we've all learned lessons from the way things were done before, and the way that, you know, it ended was necessary in a way. It couldn't carry on the way it was, and and I hope that there's a new mentality, you know, but time will tell.
Any new artists then we need to keep an eye out for?
All the time. I mean, Knox Brown, come on. Unbelievable. Such a fan of him. I'm really impressed with Becky Hill. I'm really impressed with what her and MNEK did with the Gecko track. Fantastic top line.
So good.
Jess Glynn's gonna smash it.
Love her.
Fantastic. Royal Blood, incredible. The rock thing is great. Some really exciting, kind of dirty, grungy rock bands coming out, just head down stuff, just doing it for the love of it, not doing it because they feel that it's going to go anywhere. And that's always when a scene is about to break. Yeah. That's always the sign. You know it's going to happen, you know?
Gritty band stuff has got to come back.
Oh yeah, man, it's going to happen. I mean, you could tell because guys are in rehearsal rooms just playing because they love it, and it's starting to, you can tell, you can feel it.
Yeah.
And also you can tell because pop bands and everyone else is starting to incorporate guitars in what they're doing now, so they're like, we need to change. We need to shift, you know?
So if anyone watching this that wants to be in your position, what advice or support could you offer them?
It's so unique to you. It's so unique to everyone. I mean, your journey is different to mine. Everyone's journey is unique. You know, for me, I was lucky enough to know what moved me early on in life, and I've just done whatever I can to get as close to that as possible and be as useful as in that world as possible, and stay excited and stay thrilled about what I do. And you know, you won't always have days like that. There'll be days where you're having frustrations or you're low or whatever. That's ups and downs, man. But you know, I would just say, you know, if you know what you love to do, then just absolutely stay the course. Find your corner of the room, stick to it, try and get as good at it as you can, and eventually, you know, someone will come and will give you the opportunity that you're looking for, because, you know, if you believe in it that much and you want to contribute that much, then that's what we need. Right, we need people like you to do that. We need good people forging ahead and rebuilding things in the right way and keeping things moving. The door is always open, you know.
Zane, you're an inspiration. Thank you very much.
Really nice to see you again.
And
absolutely.
You. Radio 1's Big Weekend, Zane Lowe.